having like 17 delegates in favor to speak on these motions. Please raise your hand. Japan, delegates of Brazil, delegates of UK, delegates of Turkey, delegates of India, delegates of Afghanistan, delegates of Poland, delegates of Sudan. Poland, you have been recognized, so you can just unraise your hand. Can I see how many? Okay, delegates of USA. How many is it? We have actually remaining 8 speakers later, so we'll be entertaining later on. So Pakistan, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds. Start from now.
Thank you, Chair. This delegate would like to say that why this topic is really important, because Delegate of Pakistan believe each country has their own unique problem, and that's why the previous international transaction is failed, right? Because if we are talking in regard of the UK statement, in regard of the quota or the quorum, in regard of the women participation, we already have the resolution from the ECOSOC in 1990, number 15, regarding the minimum quota or quorum for the women participation, 30%. And if we are talking in regard of the protection for women from discrimination and trying to increase the women participation, we already have the Pakistan, the problem is there are some unique conservative understanding in regard the women should not be a leader. That's why we are trying to raising the participation from the ideology and from the gender equality concept itself. We want to reorientation, having the gender equality is adjust on it is can fit with the conservative social culture, so it will be fit. And later on, we would like to hear another delegate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, delegates of Pakistan. Next up is delegates of Japan. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds. Start from now.
Thank you, Chair. This issue is important to raise because Japan is still in the issues. This is further clarified based on a survey from Narson Inglehart regarding women's political participation worldwide. The result of their survey is that Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea showed lower support for women in political affairs. Although the Japanese government provides opportunities for women to get positions in political affairs, the facts reveal that the state associates politics with power, in which men are more appropriate in that context. In the current situation, there has been no significant change regarding gender equality. It's evidenced by the Global Gender Gap 2021 reported by the World Economic Forum that Japan is ranked 120 out of 166 gender equality. Thank you.
Okay. Next up is the delegates of Brazil. Delegates of Brazil, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds. Start from now.
Thank you, Chair, for the recognition. So regarding the issues of the women's political participations that happens in Brazil itself, because the status from each of the women is also being reviewed because they are considered as the underrepresented itself. The reason why their status is being reviewed by the government itself, why? Because it is considered as 2 factors, which is included, such as it is divided into the supply side factors and also the second. Well, these factors is will increase potential in Brazil itself to lower down their willingness to run the political activity, where it can include the voter and also the leader prejudice that against women in politics, and also the understanding of the issues from the women's under representations in the political activities. And also this activity is very crucial because it can help to determine the governments to know what are the most effective policies to address the issues of the existing gender gap. So in conclusion, the delegates of Brazil would like to conclude that all of the policy that have been proposed or implemented by these governments are being used women in politics for their effectiveness to solve this issue. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Delegates of Brazil. Next up is the Delegate of United Kingdom. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds. Start from now.
Thank you, Chair, for the recognition. So some things to note on the model that delegates are laying down. Firstly, we understand that each country has its own unique problems to this situation, right? We want to make this motion more productive by having delegates recognize linkages between their own domestic issues with the existing international division on women's rights. For example, if Pakistan says that the issues are down to conservative factors, we think this sentiment can also be applied broadly to most of the global South countries in this chamber. Even in the UK, even when we had women leaders in the past, their legitimacy also suffers from negative sentiments, often originating from conservative factors, right? We think it'll be extremely productive if we can then discuss the relationship between women's rights and conservative values. For instance, what will we consider a success for a metric of women political participation? Say, if the global South countries like Pakistan suddenly have a women leader that espouse conservative values, is this still considered a success for UN Women, or is our solutions inherently geared towards women making progressive state sentiments, making progressive legislation that inherently is anti-conservative, right? That is why delegates, we really want to bring forward, what is your metric of success for women's political participation? Is it just by increasing the number of women in parliament, or is it actually on the values that they espouse and the actions that these women political leaders will be making in the near future? That is a question posed for all delegates. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegates of UK. Next is the Delegate of Turkey.
Thank
You
you,
have 1 minute.
Chair. Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Chair. Echoing the statement coming from Delegate of the United Kingdom, we truly agree that we have to discuss about the root causes. But delegates, please consider that up until right now, when we have implemented so many gender quotas with so many variations in different member states, we have achieved up to 40% of average of members of female in local deliberative bodies in our member states. But out of those 46%, only 5 to 10% can achieve executive head positions. There's been only a fifth of our best female leaders in politics that's achieved the executive head positions in politics so far. What has become the main trouble in Turkey is due to our conservative culture, which we do not want to deny. We want all members in our family to produce and to contribute to the financial stability of our family. And that is the primary reason of what Delegate of Turkey proposed the solution to reconfigure our concept of what we truly want to achieve. What we want to achieve an impactful female leader, and not everyone should be a politician. That is why we have to help the candidates of female political leaders to really identify whether they want to commit towards this world and what kind of pathway that they want to achieve, so that we can help them in details of how step by step they will achieve. And we would like to discuss it in the future motion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Delegates of Turkey. Next up is the Delegate of India.
Yes, thank you.
You have 1 minute and 30 seconds. Start from now.
Thank you, Chair, for the recognition. To overcome issues of discrimination and violence, women's organizations are focused on the empowerment of Indian women. Empowerment is tied to the support of family and improve status within the household, which is undermined by the threat of cosmetic and sexual violence. Socioeconomic conditions such as poverty and illiteracy prevent the entrance of women being into running for political office and even voting itself. Inability to understand the roles of untied work undermine the self-confidence to participation in public office. Empowerment of Indian women can also occur through bridging gaps in education, renegotiating gender roles, the gender division of labor, and addressing biased attitudes. The government of India has addressed the issues of empowerment by consolidating all programs for women under the National Mission of Empowerment of Women in NEW. The mission of NEW is to enhance economic empowerment of girls and women through skill development, microcredit, vocational training, and entrepreneurship. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegates of India. Next up, it's Delegate of Afghanistan. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds. Start from now. Delegates of Afghanistan. Delegates of Afghanistan, are you here? I think delegates of Afghanistan missing. Okay, let's just put Afghanistan later and let's have Poland first. Delegates of Poland, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, delegates of Poland, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds. Start from now.
Thanks for recognition, Chair. The delegation of Poland believe that the facts that each country woman participation problem is caused by the lack of woman leadership in some area is caused by cultural factors, stereotypes, marginalization, subordination, and double burdens. Even though they should have access and participation in various development fields, including politics, so that women can feel the benefit of the development, starting from the process of preparation, implementation, to evaluation of development program. Women participant in police in currently only around 17% and has not reached 13% according to get target. We have the representation of women is still very little, especially in this land of the Poland. There is no mayor or no female leader. Therefore, it is in the hands of students, of college students who will become future leaders to equalize women. Thank you, Chair, and back to Chair.
Okay, so probably Poland. We have no some kind of yielding on the moderate caucus, so you can just say like finish or things like that. So you don't have to say like yield back to the chair or yield back to another delegates. Thank you. And delegates of before that, is there any delegates who wish to be added on the speakers? Since we have like 8 remaining delegates to talk here. Delegates of Pakistan. Delegates of UK. We need 6 more delegates to speak here. Delegates of Turkey. Delegates of Colombia. 2 more speakers. Anyone? I assume there's none. So delegates of Sudan. Delegates of Sudan, are you here? Okay, delegates of Brazil wishes to be added on the speakers. And delegates of Sudan, are you here? Delegates of Sudan is not here, so we can also put it later on. Delegates of United States. Are you here?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so you have 1 minute and 30 seconds. Start from now.
When we talk about women political participation, it's easy for us to imagine the empty seat around the decision-making table, and a little more difficult to picture too many obstacles and challenges women face to get into those seats. There is a growing, there is a growing recognition that women in 2020 are marginalized from the political and public life. In the past few years, we've seen this play out in the high-profile election in the US and around the world. Women are putting themselves forward for the election more and more, yet their numbers are still far behind those of men. Why this is the case, even though it's widely accepted that development peace and prosperity in the society cannot be achieved without the help of the world populations. Women continue to be sidelined in the decision making. The stigma against women in the politics is still alive and well. They continue to face structural, social, economic, and the institutional and the cultural barriers. I think that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, delegates of United States. Next up, the delegates of Pakistan.
Thank you, Chair. Distinguished delegate. This delegate would like to reply in regard of the UK. Yes, it is good if we have success metric, or yeah, we have indicator. Maybe delegate of Pakistan would like to suggest in regard of we have two variable of metrics, which is qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative should be having impact of so the women could create an impact, how many policy tend to having a positive trend to women participation and the other positive contribution. And also, yeah, for the second variable for the qualitative, which will be the increase of the women human resource in regard of the UN women value, which is women empowerment, right? So yeah, will be good if we are put those variable, and also the quantitative, which is